Ahoy, virtual shipmates! Hey, how's everybody doing today? Hey, this video is scheduled to go out on Thursday, February 5th of 2026. Actually, I'm going to try to get it out on the 2nd if I have enough time. Why? Why is the 2nd so important and what's the topic? Well, the 2nd is the 4-year anniversary of my last dose of chemotherapy. Can you believe it? 4 years already. Wow. During my battle, I kind of came up with my own formula of how I was going to approach this, how I was going to battle cancer. And I found some things that really helped me. And folks, I want to share that with you. Heaven forbid if you ever go through this, or if you are going through it, or also if you have a loved one going through it. So, speaking of that, folks, I want this to reach as many people as possible. So, if you would for me, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button, even if you don't follow the other content. Please like this video and leave me a comment. It boosts us up in the YouTube algorithm. But also forward this directly to whoever you think would be interested. Forward it, via text message or Facebook Messenger. When you just share this to your page, it actually scores very low in the Facebook algorithm. Okay, so please help me get this word out. Okay, so how did I fight cancer? What was my formula? Well, number one, the first thing I'm going to tell you to do, gather yourself. You just got hit with a really big piece of data, that diagnosis. It's heavy. I know. Spend a moment, breathe, and think rationally on how you plan to respond. Not react, respond. Police, fire, EMS, we call them first responders, not first reactors. And that's on purpose. And I want you to choose how to respond to this and be patient with it. I've seen a lot of people, they get so emotionally flooded with that diagnosis, they feel like they have to do something right now. It's not going anywhere. Unless, of course, you're in some kind of an emergent situation, take a moment, breathe, and choose how you want to respond. Okay? That actually kind of leads me in to number two. Number two, choose your team. These are going to be the providers that are in there battling with you, right? So you want to choose your team wisely. How do you do that? Start by asking your primary care physician. Ask the nurses if you've had any friends that have gone through this, especially if it's a similar diagnosis. See who they liked. Gather that data, and that's why I said this kind of piggybacks off of number one. To be patient, if you can, take that time to really gather the information that you need to choose your team wisely. It's so important whether you're picking your primary care doc, whether you're picking a psychologist, whether you're picking an oncologist. It's important that you feel like you have a good relationship with that provider. It's important that you feel like you can trust that provider. So gather your data and choose your team wisely. When I started to realize what this could be, I purposefully waited to get in to see Dr. Ancha, the GI specialist. Hey, Dr. Ancha, he and we've shared dozens of patients over the years, and I knew his clinical acumen. I knew that I trusted him, and I was willing to wait for who I felt comfortable with. Even right there, right after the colonoscopy, when he informed me he found a tumor, at that very moment, I told him I was going to be seeing Dr. Dahlia. Hey, Dr. Dahlia. Again, we shared several patients over the years, and I knew that I would trust him and trust his opinion of how to go about this. And when surgery got put on the table, I knew I was heading up to Springfield for Dr. Swenson. Hey, Dr. Swenson. Hey, bang up job. I'm still here, buddy. One of these days I will make it to Scotland, but now I'll probably sail there. Anyway, it's so important for you to choose your team. Now, if you're in a smaller rural area, you may not have that many options available to you. I know that, I get that, I understand that. But at some point, you might need to consider going to a larger town to get a second opinion. That is okay. You are allowed to get a second opinion. So do what you need to do, choose your team wisely to prepare you for number three. Number three, be the best patient. Okay. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it's not going to surprise you guys to hear that I actually tend to be a bit of an alpha male. I don't mind grabbing the bull by the horns. I know you're shocked, right? But I made a conscious decision that I wasn't going to do that while I was battling cancer, that I was going to be patient. I was going to collect data. I was going to trust my providers because I specifically chose my team. Furthermore, if something did go wrong, if something got miscommunicated, if somebody dropped the ball a little bit somewhere, I wasn't going to come in kicking the door open, guns blazing. Okay. Your physicians are human, the nurses are human, the medical assistants, the unit secretaries are all human, and sometimes some mistakes are made. They talk about the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Guys, that actually doesn't work so well when it comes to healthcare. Seriously. I know, I'm a doctor. I am much more likely to do more and to be more forgiving and show more grace and go the extra mile for somebody who is kind. All right. So don't be a jerk, be kind, be the best patient you can be. Now, am I saying that you should follow all suggestions blindly? Of course not. You have to be your own best healthcare advocate. So go ahead and research things from credible sources. We're going to get to that one later. And get second opinions if you have to. Remember, ultimately, they're all working for you. So you do make the decisions, but be a good patient during that process. Okay? Number 4. Get your data from credible sources. I'm an admin for a social media group for people dealing with colorectal cancer, and the amount of junk that I have seen, it blows my mind. Things that are just built off of conspiracy theories, things that are really just get rich quick schemes selling books or snake oil. Folks, for love of Pete, do not get your medical advice from social media. Get it from peer-reviewed sources. Talk to physicians, talk to nurses, talk to people who have been through it. Make sure that any journal or reading or online thing that you're looking through is peer-reviewed. Get good data, okay? Some of the stuff that's out there, I'm telling you, is killing people. I actually had a friend of mine, a physician, who decided he was going to treat his cancer his way. It didn't work out for him. And by the time he tried to move to more conventional methods, unfortunately, it was too late. So, folks, utilize good peer reviewed data. Watch out for some of the junk on social media. Got it? Okay. Next one. Don't hesitate to fight this with every tool we have. And this one's really going out to the cancer patients. So many times in that social media group that I'm admin for, I see people that flat out say, "I'm not doing chemotherapy because I don't want to be sick. I don't want to feel like that," or "I'm not doing radiation because of the side effects." Folks, you don't know if you're going to have those side effects unless you try. Seriously, going into chemotherapy, my goodness, I thought what everybody else. Oh, I'm going to be sick. I'm not going to have any energy. I had no problem with chemotherapy. That the whole first round of capecitabine, I had absolutely no side effects whatsoever. Second round with higher doses of capecitabine, no problems. Now, the oxaliplatin did give me some neuropathy, which is very common with those platinum-based chemotherapies. But I made sure to keep my oncologist informed, and we were able to dial it back, minimizing those effects. Now, I still have it to some degree. But I was still able to get some clinical effectiveness out of the medication while not causing too much severe long term damage. But the point is, you never know exactly how you're going to respond until you try. With the radiation, I had no problems with the radiation either. So again, everybody's reaction, everybody's side effects, it's different for everybody. Now, so give it a try. See how you do. If you can tolerate it, great. And if not, we stop and we come up with the next plan. Okay. So don't knock it till you try it. All right. Fight it with everything we got. Number six, put on your blinders. What do I mean by that? I mean, focus on only the next step. There's so much to going through cancer treatment or whatever it is that you might be going through. It could get overwhelming. And so the best way to deal with that is only focus on the next step. People had asked me, they're like, Doc, what if you go through all this and it comes back? Or what if you try this and this doesn't work? I'll deal with it then. I'll deal with it when I get there. This is something I say all the time in that social media group for people going through cancer. Put the blinders on. All that exists in your whole treatment is just the next step. Okay? Blinders on. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. Number seven, compartmentalize. You notice everything kind of has its spot, right? I actually took the same approach when it came to dealing with cancer. On some days I was a father, some days I was a doctor, other days I was a cancer patient, and I kept those very separate. It really helped me, seriously. I remember one time I was spending time with my daughter, and the cancer center called. I let the answering machine get it. It ain't going anywhere. That day I was a father. I'll be a cancer patient the next day. One time I was at the office and we got a call from the cancer center. My practice manager even came in. Hey, you know what? They called. They're trying to get in touch with you. Okay. Well, today I'm a doctor. I'll be a cancer patient tomorrow. I really kept those roles very separate. And you know what? It helped me keep things tidy. Consider doing the same. Stress management. Regardless of your diagnosis or your prognosis, this is a stressful thing, obviously. So good stress management skills are going to be super important here. Back in chapter 15, I talked about some strategies for coping with a stressful event. Also, in chapter 25, I talked about the top three things that people should do for their mental health. So take a look at those if you haven't already. I'm not going to rehash all of them. A couple of things I will point out, though, is that back in chapter 15, I did mention the importance of laughter. And let me tell you, going through something like this, laughter is the best medicine. So make sure you do whatever you can to keep that up, whether it's joking, making fun of this, watching comedies, watching stand-up comedians, funny YouTube videos, whatever it is that gets you belly laughing. It's going to be super important. I also, in chapter 25, talked about the importance of letting go of the things we can't control. Wrestling with cancer or whatever your diagnosis might be, there's a lot of this that we're just at the mercy of the universe. And you know what? Letting go of that you can't control is going to be super important. Focus on what you can. Okay. Other parts to stress management here, consider getting in with a psychologist or a counselor. Super important right now, depending on your stress loads, especially somebody that has some experience working with health problems or chronically ill individuals, that sort of thing. And maybe even talk to your oncologist or, again, whatever it is that you're going through. Talk to your providers to see who they might recommend. Socialization going to be super important. Spending time with your family, with your friends, have those get-togethers, do those things, make those memories. Now, if maybe you're in a situation where you don't have much of a social network, much of a support network, if that's the case, hey, if you're seeing this video, that means that you're online. Maybe get into one of those social media groups. As I've said so many times, I actually admin a group for individuals going through colorectal cancer. So surely there's a group designed for what it is that you might be going through. You might find that helpful. So consider it if you don't have other supports available. Recreational interests. Let me mention that too. It is important to stay occupied. It's important to continue having fun. So if you do have a hobby and interest, try your best to engage that. Now, there's going to be days that you're probably not going to feel up to it. You might not have the energy or even the desire, but try to anyway. Okay, staying up with our recreational interests, our socialization, all in very important pieces of our total stress management approach. So make sure you're taking good care of that, my friends. Next, number 9, be positive. Okay. Now, there's two parts to this, and you could guess obviously where the first one is: maintaining a positive outlook, a positive attitude, despite what it is that we're going through. Singer and guitarist Eric Clapton, I remember when his son tragically was killed. He later said on the topic of death, he says, "You don't become happy with it, you become happy despite it." And I think having that positive attitude is so important for what we're going through. That we're going to be positive, we're going to be happy, we're going to have a smile on our face despite it. Right. I think that's super important. And in fact, there's some pretty interesting research suggesting that having a healthy, positive attitude might actually help with the healing process. Take a look at it. It's pretty fascinating research. But where I was also coming with the be positive, you know, despite what I was going through, I made sure that no matter what I was doing, I tried to keep that smile on my face. I was always happy. I was always jovial. I was, whenever I went in for my appointments, I greeted everybody warmly. I'm not saying with my patients, I'm saying when I went in for my own cancer treatment, I laughed, I cut up with people. I remember my last day of my infusion chemotherapy, the oxaliplatin. Turned out that I was in there at the same time as another local physician, uh, and he had come up to me afterwards and he said, you always come in here and you have such a smile on your face and you're always so happy." And it wasn't until I figured out who you were, that you were Dr. Frisbee, that, oh, okay, well, that makes sense, being a psychologist. Really, guys, I don't think it was so much of the fact that I was a psychologist. I think it was that I made a conscious decision, that despite what I was going through, I was still going to make people smile. I was still going to laugh and cut up and joke and just be me. Because again, I was going to be that way, not because of it, but despite it. So do everything you can to maintain that positivity. Number 10, live your life. That's right. Go live your life. Go do the things. If there's something on your bucket list that you wanted to go see or do, get busy on it. Seriously. For me, I love the holidays, and I was diagnosed in May. And so I didn't know if I'd be around for Thanksgiving or for Christmas. So what did I do? I held Thanksgiving in May. I did. Had the whole family here. My dad flew in from Pennsylvania, and it was a wonderful time. We did the turkey, the stuffing, the mashed potatoes, and a nice warm Missouri May. Played Christmas music in the background. Why? Because I could. So make those experiences, make those memories, live your life. The other thing that I had never done, I had never stayed in a hotel right on the beach. And so that's something that Renee and I, my daughter, we went to do, because I wanted to be able to just walk right out the back of the hotel and boom, there's beach right there, and got to experience that and had a fantastic time. A couple of other stories for you guys. I had a friend by the name of Sandy, and Sandy had terminal cancer. And I remember her asking me, she said, "Doc, what do you tell your patients when they know that they're terminal?" And I said, "Well, Sandy, every day you wake up, it's a gift. It's a gift. Every day is a gift. You get one more chance to say the things you need to say, to hug the people you want to hug, to make some memories for those that stay behind. Every day is a gift, so embrace it to its fullest." And another story that I think of, my dear friend Carrie, who you folks know from previous episodes, she knows an individual who wanted, again, cancer diagnosis, but she was scheduled to have her chemotherapy on a day that she wanted to go to a concert. And so they rearranged the chemotherapy schedule so that she could go and experience that concert the way she wanted to. And that's so important. Live your life. Memories, make memories, have experiences, whether they're for ourselves or if we're leaving them behind for others. Our condition, be it cancer or whatever else you're going through, it's taken enough from us. We're not going to let it take any more. Okay? Live your life. Number 11. And if you know my story, you knew this was coming. Have something in the future that you're looking forward to, some goal that you are actively working at achieving after the battle is over. I had always been interested in sailing. I never did it, but just I was always intrigued by it. And so during my battle with cancer, I said, you know what? If I actually live through this, I'm going to learn how to sail. And I watched YouTube videos and read books and instructional DVDs, pretty much anything I could get my hands in. I just immersed myself in that. And so while I was going through infusions or, from the chemo or preparing for a radiation appointment, whatever, I'd be watching these videos, reading these books, and just devouring as much as I could. What happened? I beat the cancer and I bought the sailboats, right? And so have that thing in the future that you're working towards. If you haven't watched Chapter 2, Find Your Sailboat, folks, I highly encourage you to do it now. Okay, in there, that's where I talk about that. My sailboat was that destination on the horizon that I was aiming for, and that helped me deal with the muck that I was going through. And I quoted Nietzsche in there that he who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. When we have that course, that heading, that dream, that whenever the days were getting tough, it was that much easier to deal with. So have something to be looking forward to and actively work on preparing and planning for it. Last, but certainly not least, faith. Folks, I happen to be a fairly spiritual individual. Okay. Now, if you're not, hey, whatever works for you. Nor am I going to get into an argument over what spirituality you should be, what religion you should be. I think that's a very personal decision. Okay. But I can tell you that my faith was a very important factor in my formula in my battle with cancer. And some people that it's that they have faith that they're going to heal from this. What was the main thing that I leaned into? I had faith. I fully believed that either I was still needed on planet Earth or I was needed on some other plane of existence. And I just let go of what I couldn't control and recognized that wherever I needed, that's where I would go. Well, looks like I was still needed here. And so hopefully this helps you. Folks, I want this to go viral. Seriously. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment. That helps boost us up in the algorithms. I want this to help as many people as possible who are battling cancer or any other significant illness. Furthermore, if we really want to get the word out, start by just sharing this directly to your friends via Facebook Messenger, via text. That's the best way to get the word out. Hopefully, this will be around long after me to help people find their formula of how to deal with a major illness.
So until next time, my friends, you know what I say: fair winds following seas. And don't forget to find your sailboat. Doc out.